Shabbat Shalom. So nice to hear your voices and to hear them in this space, whether you're joining us in our Herman Hall tonight or from a distance in the comfort of your homes. Welcome. It feels good, and I have to say a little surreal to be joining you in this space that was actually the last space. The last time we were in here was right before the pandemic in March of 2020 for our adult Purim Spiel. So a whole slew of memories came flooding back, none of which we'll relive tonight. But Shabbat is our opportunity to come together, whether it's in our pavilion, in our sanctuary, in the Herman Hall, to separate this time out, to recognize its specialness, because we come together as a community. And so we begin with words that celebrate that. May your wonder be celebrated. May your name be consecrated. May your brilliance never fade from the magnificent world you've made. May your ways prevail in our own days, in our own lives, and in the life of all Israel. Let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. May your name receive the same beauty that you bring, though you are far beyond the sweetest song we could ever sing. And let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen. And let us say,
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for braving the weather and coming in. It's so messy and icky, that's the official word, icky outside, but in here it just feels good to be with you. It's warm and loving, and the light of the candles will bring an even better glow to help us welcome Shabbat. And so we turn, well, you don't have prayer books, do you? And neither do the people out there watching. I will turn to page 12 for the lighting of the candles. Yom Zeh LaYisrael Ora V'Simcha Shabbat Menucha. This is Israel's day of light and joy, a Sabbath of rest. As we kindle these Sabbath flames, may there be light and joy, happiness and holiness, serenity and peace in our homes and in our hearts. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
This morning, I had the privilege of celebrating Shabbat with our youngest members of the ECC. First, I started with the kindergarten and fours. Then we moved to the threes. And then I was with the twos, and they are like barely 2 years old. And it was truly the sweetest thing that I've ever seen. We opened the ark, And they just stood there with this wonder on their face of, wow, this is so cool. And it was just really this great moment of hope and looking forward to a future that is really very bright. And, this afternoon, I took my 18-year-old, almost 18-year-old, and put him on an airplane to go look at a college. And it reminded me of the phrase, the days are long, but the years are short. It feels like he was just 2 here. And it reminds us that we have to treasure these moments, to be present in these moments like Shabbat, so that we can really hang on to them, so that we don't look back and feel like we've missed anything. And so we welcome Shabbat, and we welcome the Sabbath bride as we are present in each and every moment of Shabbat.
Shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am segula boi chala boi chala Lecha dodi Likrat kala B'nei Shabbat Nikavela Lecha dodi Likrat kala B'nei Shabbat Nikavela Lecha dodi Likrat kala Rise together for the call to worship. La 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 la
Seated. God, in your presence I am never alone. When I climb the highest mountain, you are sunshine on my face. When the world turns cold, I wrap myself in the warmth of your spirit. When I find myself in the darkest valley, you are the glimmer of light in the shadows. God, in your presence I am never alone, for I know that you are with us in our greatest joys and deepest sorrows. Hear, O Israel, God is sunshine and warmth and light and love. Hear, O Israel, God is one.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Listen to our God. Listen to our God. As you're seated, we join together in the chanting of Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לפניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
This week I met with a bat mitzvah girl who has the Micha Mocha in her Torah portion. And I got so excited, and I'm showing her what it looks like in the Torah, and she is looking at me like I am from Mars. And I thought to myself, I will dance and sing like Miriam when the teens don't look at me that way, but join me. And I will keep working for that. So we sing the Micha Mocha together. Cause us, our Creator, to lie down in peace, and raise us up, O sovereign God, to renewed life and peace. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, guide us with your good counsel, and be our shield of mercy and of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech... Oh, nope. Let's start again. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya ila ila, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Let's remain seated for one more moment.
Thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and a joy in the trees. Shabbat rise in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. And eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai-dai-da, yai-dai-da, yai-dai-dai-da, yai-dai-da, yai-dai-dai-da. Adonai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. We rise together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sahara, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Ha'Nora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, וזוכר השערות והימאות, מביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, again. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lechoshia, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Nishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'nehemanat al hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh u'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim bechol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. As you're seated, we pray silently. Eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai-dai-da, yai-dai-da, yai-dai-dai-da, yai-dai-da,
Every week I speak to a lot of people who are going through some sort of illness. And luckily, almost all the people I talk to tell me that they couldn't do it without their family and friends, without their neighbor, without their community, that they feel so lucky to be surrounded by so much love and support. And I pray that we all feel that way when we're going through illness, but we know that there are people who feel very alone as well. Illness can be quite isolating. So I'm hoping if you're out there and you feel alone, please hear our voices. Please call upon your congregation, your neighbors, your family, and your friends, and let us be your support system and be your community. So we send our prayers and our love to all those in need of healing, a healing of body and a healing of spirit. So we sing Misha Berach together.
Of strength, who blessed the us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Good Shabbos. I recently married a couple who had lived just blocks from one another as children, whose parents had mutual friends, who were photographed in the same picture at a BBYO event in their teens, but had never met. Until finally, exasperated, God, the great matchmaker in the heavens, intervened. The groom magically showed up on the bride's dating app. She swiped right, and voila, there we were, standing beneath the chuppah. In biblical times, there may have been no dating applications, but there were dating destinations. It was the communal well. Each village had a central well which served as the singles bar of antiquity. When Jacob, for instance, saw Rachel for the first time, it was at the well. And in keeping with his bold character, he ran right up and kissed her. A little forward, but it worked. Moses met Zipporah at a well after he saved her and her sisters from marauding shepherds. Also, very much in keeping with his character, the Redeemer. And in our Torah portion, Chayei Sarah, Isaac also meets his beloved Rebekah at a well. Sort of. You see, Isaac was a bit shy. Not exactly what the kids today would call a playa. So Abraham sends an emissary to find a fitting bride for his timid son. In essence, it was an arranged marriage. But that is not to say that there was no romance. When the servant brings Rebekah to meet her intended, she spots Isaac from afar and literally falls off her camel. That, by the way, is why we call it falling in love. But as romantic as this moment might have been, it is Rebekah, not Isaac, who takes the lead. Isaac himself is virtually missing from the text, not just here, but throughout the Torah. Indeed, we really only know him as the young victim of the Akedah, the vision-impaired old man who was tricked out of bestowing his inheritance on his favorite son, the passive patriarch who couldn't even go out and find his own bride. I hate to say this about one of our great forebears, but to tell you the truth, Isaac is a bit of a nebbish. He is in the biblical narrative, but at the same time, he is absent from it. I sometimes worry that we are becoming more and more like Isaac. It is not just the pandemic, although certainly that has removed many of us from the action. After all, how do you meet someone these days? For Isaac, it was through a messenger. Nowadays, it is through Facebook Messenger. But it goes beyond the pandemic. Alienation is built into our popular digital culture. We sit at a dinner table with people we like, people we love even, and our eyes keep shifting back to those digital devices of divisiveness, those enrapturing contraptions of distraction, those insidious instruments of inattention, our cell phones. And we cannot help ourselves. Due to whistleblower complaints recently filed, we now know how devious are the mechanisms by which our attention is being held hostage, not only by Facebook, but also Instagram and TikTok, by advertising logarithms and Russian bots. And yet we persist in our obsessive checking in. In a wonderful article that appeared recently in New Detroit, my good friend Mark Jacobs labels his obsessive phone use as an addiction. Now, I know Mark well, and the truth is that he is one of the most present and connective people that I know. So if he is feeling disconnected, then it really is something to worry about. Thankfully, in the article, he offers a prescription for breaking this addiction. It is called Shabbat. He simply vowed to turn off the darn device for 24 hours on Friday evening and Saturday. And it seems to have worked. In a follow-up article this week, he reports that, although it was very difficult at first, it has also freed him up to read more, to spend time with family, to commune with nature. And he concludes, he hasn't missed a thing. There's something about the cell phone, he writes, that makes you think that you're doing something important when you're engaged with it. That is a cell phone, by the way. I just want you to know. But that notion becomes obviously laughable when you finally reconnect to your phone after a 24-hour absence and find that you haven't missed a thing. I have yet to see, he writes, that I missed something earth-shaking. Not one missed call informing me that I had won a Pulitzer. I think that Mark is onto something here. And I'm more and more convinced every minute of it. Okay, the rabbis were onto it thousands of years before. But Shabbat just may be our way out of the disassociated lives many of us feel we are living. An important part of that reassociation is the Friday night Shabbat dinner. And here at Temple Israel, we are embarking on a grand experiment to see if we can enhance that aspect of Shabbat. It is called Pop-Up Shabbat. Essentially, we are moving our Kabbalat Shabbat service start times to 5:30 p.m. during the months of November and December, starting next week, in the hope that this will give you time to linger over your Shabbat dinner tables. Plus, we are partnering with local restaurants to provide sumptuous meals that you can pre-order to bring home with you from the temple. I can assure you that on December 24th, it will be Chinese food. And on December 31st, you can usher out 2021 with prayer and then go on to party the night away with family and friends. In each order, we will include a challah from Dakota Bread, which is now affiliated with the Farber Soul Center. In this way, you can support both our local restaurants through this pandemic winter and the Soul Center at the same time. Now, not that anyone at Temple Israel would ever complain about anything, ever. But I have received just a few inquiries questioning the time change. Please note, first, that this is not the wave of the future. We are returning to 7 p.m. in January. It is just that, at present, the Corman Hall is unavailable to us as a prayer space. There are two reasons. First of all, the audio-visual system, the streaming system, the sound is shot, and the replacement equipment is on a slow boat from China. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. It's really on a slow boat from China. And also, because of our COVID protocols, in a crowded service, the room is really too small at this point. Hopefully, as boosters take place and our kids become vaccinated, that will change as the year goes on. But for right now, it's not a safe place for us to be together. And as it turns out, we are crowded with bar and bat mitzvahs for the next 2 months. I think many of them were moved, rescheduled because of the pandemic, and using both of these spaces. And so we really had a choice. The choice was to go back to being virtual completely, we need that like a Lachen cup, or to experiment with this new time. Of course, you will be able to still, watch it online if you so choose at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, tomorrow morning, Tisha B'Av, anytime you want, you'll be able to watch it online. But this way, we were able to experiment with this idea as well. Because the idea of going home from services and spending a long evening is not new. It's very, very, very old and very, very traditional. And we hope that you will join that experiment with us and come here in person and then have a long, lingering, beautiful Shabbat dinner with family and friends. All of this, you see, comes down to this question. How do we become more present in our own lives? In our Torah portion, Abraham introduces himself to the people of Canaan, his new neighbors, as a ger v'toshav, often translated as a resident alien. Toshav comes from the Hebrew word to sit, or to dwell, to be present. And a ger is someone from far off, alien. So one could see Abraham as saying, while I am sitting with you here, I am also far off, alienated, detached. Shabbat may be a good first step in helping us avoid becoming a ger v'toshav, one who is present, but also at the very same time detached from our communities, from our families, from our friends, indeed from our very own lives. So, if you are single and looking for a love connection, by all means follow the example of my wedding couple, pick up that cell phone, and go on J-Date. If what you want, however, is to feel more connected to your own life, your own soul, your own family, to our ancient tradition, well then follow the advice of my friend Mark and put down that cell phone for at least 24 hours, because Shabbat just might be the spiritual technology that you have always been looking for. Shabbat Shalom.
הדבש ועל העוקד, על המר והמתוק, על ביתנו המתוקת שמו אלי הטוב, על האש המבוערת, על המים חזקים, על האיש השב בלילה מן המרחקים. Al kolele, shmor na li hatov, al hadvash ve'al ha'odes, al hamar ve'hamatov, al na'takor na'tua, al tishkach et ha'tikva, hashiveni ve'hashuva el ha'aretz ha'tova. For the honey and the bee sting, for the bitter and the sweet, all the things which join as one to make our lives complete. For the future of our children, for our prayers will never cease, for the hope that with tomorrow a world of peace. Al kolele, shmor na li hador, al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamator, al natut ha'kor natua, al tishkach et ha'tikva, hashiveni ve'hashuva el haaretz hatova.
We rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Saying Kaddish for you breaks my teeth. The words come out in shards and fragments. I want the words to carry your soul, but I still want to hold your body, so the words clash and shatter and break in my mouth. My heart is broken too, but I still say the Kaddish, putting the pieces together word by word. They will never be whole, and neither will I. We recall the names of those in our congregation and community who have died in the past 30 days, the period of Shloshim. Jane Elkan, Helene Davidson, Ryan Dems, Wally Denike, Marilyn Dubrinsky, Larry Globerson, Roberta Bobby Kay, Dr. Paul Latin, Stephen Lager, Richard Maskin, Marvin Rifkin, Dr. Earl Rudner, Sandra Russman, Amy Scapoletti, Lawrence Larry Siegel, Harold Stein, Dr. Richard Swartz, Jeffrey Swinkin, Jack Bindis, and William Petersmark. We also recall the names of those whose yard sites occur on this Shabbat. Daniel J. Alpert, Saul Auslander, David S. Berman, Pearl Blazowski, Dorothy Block, Rose Blotnick, Helen Braverman, Lisa Chinsky, Harvey Cohen, Phyllis Ann Colburn, Adele Ephraim, Max Fry, Michael Allen Jarris, Dr. Robert Goldberg, Lena Goldstein, Harry Golsky, Janice Halprin Goodman, Joseph Goodstein, Dr. Elvin Gorin, Stephen Gottlieb, Paula Gruenberg, David Gutman, Martin Halprin, Samuel Kaplan, Ruth Cass, Frida Katz, Howard Klepner, Samuel Lichtenstein, Stanley McGill, Sarah Millman, Jesse Nankin, Martin Norris, Louis Papo, Helene Robbins, Michael Roberts, Irving Robinson, Harold Rothenberg, Cynthia Rubin, Rita Selesnik, Mabel Schneider, Gilbert Schwartz, Sam Schwartz, Marcia Seifman, Jeffrey Spellberg, Norman Stillman, Jeff Stahlberg, Rose Sweetwine, Julius Taylor, Harry Victor, Robert White, Sharon Wise, Dorothy Wolf, Irving Wolf, Yetta Young, Jason Zaks, Magdalene Zeman, Ernest Barron, Arthur Rubin, Harry Leon Levitt, Howard Barron, Rose Garenrich, Larry Kamen, Julie Levin, Louis Klein, Joel Kramer, Irving Goldman, and Virginia Kingsley. We remember them with love and honor them with words of Kaddish. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam le'olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, v'yit hadar v'yit ale v'yit halal shemei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. We pray that the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. Amen.
The service concludes with Adon Olam as we join together.
אשר מלך וטרם כה יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אחד אין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ללא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי והי גואלי וצור חבלי ויצרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי ונקוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה בידו הבקירוכי ועת ישן והעירה ואמרוכי הביאתי אדוני לי ולא יירא שבת שלום 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 ומבורך Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom u'mevorach.
Shabbat shalom. I should mention that just as I talked about sharing space with the bar and bat mitzvahs, we do have a bar mitzvah in the sanctuary. Stay in here, schmooze, long-distance hugs, make as much noise as you want. But in the atrium, please do respectful of the life cycle ceremony going on. Shabbat shalom, everyone.